If you follow Backyard Wisdom, you already know that our content is, well, a bit different. Subscribers gain access to carefully researched ebooks, detailed videos showing real DIY timber projects built step by step, and exclusive timber-focused insights that aren't shared publicly. Today, we're going to explore why most backyard wood projects fail within a year, a problem rooted not in poor effort, but in overlooked material behavior and historical wisdom that has been largely forgotten. The truth is that wood doesn't fail randomly. It fails because we misunderstand how it works. Many backyard projects, fences, garden beds, decks, collapse or decay far sooner than expected. Builders blame rain, sun, or insects, but the reality is more subtle. Timber is a living, dynamic material. Its fibers swell and shrink with humidity, its structure changes with temperature, and its chemical composition determines whether it resists rot. Misjudging any of these factors sets a project on a path toward early failure. Historical builders understood these principles intuitively. They didn't rely solely on chemical treatments or coatings. They observed wood, anticipated its movements, and designed projects around its strengths and vulnerabilities. Most backyard projects fail because water and wood meet without a plan. It may sound obvious, but water management is rarely given proper attention in modern DIY projects. Wood decays only in the presence of moisture and oxygen. Yet, projects are often built with posts buried directly in soil, boards overlapping in ways that trap rainwater, or horizontal surfaces that pool water. Historical builders understood that exposure points dictate longevity. Oak, chestnut, or larch might survive decades if allowed to shed water naturally, but even these species will fail if moisture collects at joints or along grain lines. The lesson is clear. Durability is not a matter of coating alone. It is about controlling the environment around the timber. The failure of most modern backyard projects begins with the selection and preparation of the wood itself. Wood is not uniform. Even within the same species, growth patterns, density, and resin content vary. Historically, craftsmen chose timber based on how it would behave over time. Straight-grained oak for posts, larch for outdoor planking, pine only when fully dried and treated. They also understood the importance of seasoning, slowly drying timber to reduce internal moisture before installation. Today, backyard wood often arrives green, untreated, or pre-cut for convenience. Without proper drying, it shrinks and warps in its first year. Cracks appear and joints loosen. What appears as early rot is often simply the material adjusting to its environment. Surface treatments alone cannot substitute for understanding wood's natural behavior. Many DIYers, rely on paint, varnish, or pressure treatment as a guarantee of protection. These treatments can help, sure, but they are often applied too thinly, unevenly, or without consideration for the timber's movement. Historical builders knew that wood needed to absorb protective oils, linseed, pine resin, or tallow deep into the fibers, not just cover the surface. This allowed timber to flex without cracking, reduced water penetration, and significantly delayed decay. Modern surface-only approaches may slow deterioration temporarily, but they rarely achieve the resilience that thoughtful historical methods produced. Joints are another point where backyard projects fail quickly. Even high-quality wood can fail if joints are poorly designed or installed. Water follows the grain, and horizontal grain at a joint collects moisture faster than vertical grain. Old builders used overlapping laps, angled mortise and tenon connections, and drip cuts to channel water away from vulnerable areas. They avoided flat surfaces that could trap rain, even in small amounts. Modern DIY projects often prioritize speed over longevity, leaving joints exposed, pockets for water, and angles that accelerate decay. Every failure has a cause. Poor joint design combined with moisture exposure guarantees structural compromise within months or a few seasons. Insects and fungi are secondary players. The primary cause of failure is environmental stress. Wood-eating insects and fungal rot require a weakened, moist substrate to thrive. Historical builders minimize these risks by controlling water, selecting the right species, and seasoning timber properly. They also used techniques like raising posts on stone piers, angling beams for runoff, and creating air gaps to allow drying. Modern projects often ignore these subtleties, relying on chemical deterrents that are temporary and sometimes ineffective. Understanding how wood interacts with its environment is far more critical than reacting to decay after it begins. Seasonality and timing influence durability more than most DIYers realize. Builders harvested timber in winter or dormant periods when sap content was low, reducing vulnerability to fungi. They dried boards slowly in ventilated sheds before use. Even small missteps in harvest timing or drying can affect longevity. Today, most backyard projects are built immediately from commercially available lumber, often with residual moisture that encourages warping and cracking. Historical patience and attention to timing were essential parts of long-lasting timber construction. Even the most seemingly minor decisions determine whether a project lasts or fails. The orientation of boards, exposure to sun and wind, the slope of horizontal surfaces, and even subtle choices in joinery all influence water flow and drying cycles. When these factors are overlooked, decay accelerates. Historical craftsmen may not have had synthetic sealants, but they understood cause and effect in a way modern builders often do not. They worked with the wood, rather than forcing it into rigid designs that ignore its natural tendencies. Many backyard wood failures are actually preventable with careful observation and layered approaches. Start by choosing the right species for the intended use and exposure. Season timber slowly to reduce internal stress. Apply protective oils deeply rather than superficially. Design joints and structures to shed water naturally. Avoid pockets and allow air circulation. Consider orientation, sun exposure, and drainage in placement. These measures require more thought than simply nailing boards together or spraying a finish, but they dramatically improve lifespan. The practices of historical builders were not complicated. They were methodical, intentional, and grounded in observation. Durability in timber is cumulative. No single measure guarantees long-term survival. Every successful historical structure relied on multiple small decisions: species choice, drying method, joint design, surface treatment, and environmental positioning. Each element reinforced the others, creating resilience over decades. Most modern backyard projects fail because they depend on one or two quick fixes while ignoring the broader system. Understanding timber behavior, how it swells, contracts, absorbs water, and reacts to stress, is essential for projects that endure beyond the first season. The lessons of historical woodcraft are relevant for anyone building outdoors today. Wood is dynamic, sensitive to its environment, and resilient when respected. By observing and anticipating its movements, choosing appropriate species, preparing it properly, and protecting it in layers, backyard projects can last far longer than most DIYers expect. Historical knowledge is not nostalgia. It is practical guidance rooted in observation, material science, and experience that has stood the test of time. If you want to explore these techniques further, subscribers to our email list receive step-by-step demonstrations, in-depth research, and ebooks that explain historical timber methods in detail. Learning from the past equips us to make smarter decisions in the present, avoiding common pitfalls and creating projects that endure. Understanding wood is not a luxury. It is a necessity for anyone serious about outdoor construction. By respecting its behavior and applying the lessons history offers, your backyard projects can survive far beyond a single year, providing utility and satisfaction for decades.